you don't value what we have achieved. I have had to fight for everything my entire life.
House of Cards Season 4. Finished this a week ago. Finished this in 2 days. If you want my summary on the first 3 seasons, Season 1 was great. Tightly written script. Season 2 was also good, but got a little tiring at the end. Kind of dragged on. And Season 3 was a real bummer because it was extremely boring and focused on really stupid subplots. So Season 4, does it rectify the wrongs of Season 3? And in some cases, yes it does. As again, Kevin Spacey does a really good job as Frank Underwood with the charisma and everything. Everyone knows it. He's great. The rest of the cast does a great job. That's one thing you can't fault House of Cards in whatever episode or whatever season, is that the performances are stellar. And what this season does better than Season 3 is have a more focused narrative, so you don't have these random subplots that don't amount to anything like in Season 3. One of the great subplots includes the Republican frontrunner, who you find out is basically the Republican and younger version of Frank Underwood. And to see Frank Underwood not really meet his match, but to meet someone of similar caliber to him is an interesting plot point. And also the whole convention subplot, not gonna spoil it, but if you've seen it, you know what I mean. It's a really fun subplot, and that's one of the things that this season finally comes back to, is that it's fun. Just to see the Underwoods do some really crazy stuff. Unlike Season 3, where it's just like extremely boring and you're like trudging through. The other great thing about the show is they tie it up with the first couple seasons, which are the best seasons, and to explore those consequences and to see what happens, and potentially see that the Underwoods cannot win the day this time. That's a really good concept they throw in for this season. One of the bad parts that gets inherited in Season 4 is the conflict between the Underwoods, between Frank and Claire. And again, that subplot to begin with in Season 3 was a terrible choice, but the way they resolved it is okay in the sense they get rid of it quickly so you can move on to more interesting things, so at least they did that. Hopefully they don't do this again in Season 5. There's some crazy rumors about Season 5 and what's going to happen, and I hope it's not true because because it would go against their character. And also, they are really ballsy too in this season. There's some subplots and some changes into the story that come out of nowhere, which is really interesting, and again really ballsy that they go in a certain direction. Not gonna spoil it, but you'll know when you see it. One of the things that this season continues to do that they did in the first couple seasons is that some subplots are just brushed aside and there's no resolution to it. Which is okay, but it would be great to explore these subplots more. And they just like throw it away, they push under the rug as usual. And it's not terrible, but you look back at it and you're like, okay, maybe you could explore it more. But that's just how House of Cards works, so you get used to it by this point. As much as this show is fun, it does get extremely ridiculous at some point. This show tries to be contemporary to modern day politics. And this part, and as much as Season 1 and 2 are ridiculous in the sense that Underwood is manipulating his way to the presidency, this season continues to be ridiculous on certain levels that it just makes it slightly unbelievable and slightly loses its credibility. And again, this show does get really tiring. Not like Season 3 where you get tired by probably like the middle or the quarter way, but it trudges again that by the end, when you finish the season, it doesn't really feel satisfying. Unlike, the first season, which is basically he becomes vice president, and the second season where he becomes president, there are strict objectives. Season 4, as some people dubbed it, is Season 4A. And in that sense, I do agree. It leaves you at a cliffhanger, and it goes to Season 5 to continue that, and it's kind of unsatisfying. And there's also, again, they try to explore Frank Underwood's guilt, as they tried in Season 3 also. In this season, it's they don't do anything with it. There's some certain flashbacks and dream sequences, but they don't do much with it. House of Cards Season 4 continues to be a really good show. It's definitely an improvement on Season 3. Slightly on par with Season 2. But again, it gets really tiring by the end, and it just feels like they're doing, shocking stuff for the sake of, for shock value. I will give this season a 7.5 out of 10. The problem with House of Cards overall is that it really doesn't save it. It's really not that compelling if you take away the performances, and it's a credit to the cast and Kevin Spacey and the others that they make certain boring plot points interesting. So House of Cards Season 4, have you binge watched it? What do you think about it? Are you excited for Season 5? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next review.